You've set some goals for yourself. Maybe it's with your weight, or it's in a relationship that you want to improve. It could be your finances. It could be time. What if I were to tell you that goal is destined to fail? What? See, you don't have a problem with getting your goals. You have a challenge with a never ending need pattern. And I'll explain in just a moment what never ending needs are. But when you had that need, and for whatever reason it could not be met in a healthy way, you developed some dysfunctional ways of being able to cope with life in order to survive. Those ways to cope are not going to go away. And yet, that's the very thing that you think you have to do. You got to clean house. You got to get rid of all of those bad habits in order to get your goals. And there's going to be a part of you that is going to fight you, and it's going to win, because this is the only way it knows how to get through life. The idea is to understand your never ending needs and then put together a plan to where you get internal agreement for your external results in a way that upgrades you. All right, what am I talking about? Never ending needs. We have what's known as the core four, and each one builds on the one below it. And think of a pyramid, not like a regular office building, but actually a pyramid where each level needs less materials and less time to build it. So the first level is what's known as certainty, but certainty can show up dysfunctionally as safety, where you have to be dependent upon other people, places, and things for you to be okay. You should have had someone or group of people making sure that you were cared for at whatever stage you were in when the imprint took place. An imprint is an experience that you go through where your subconscious mind, which runs all of your habits and patterns, then decides this is what we do when we're triggered from here on out. And so you could have went through an experience that had intensity to it, and you only had to go through it one time. Or you could have experienced what's known as spaced repetition, to where it happened again and again. Either way, you can have an imprint, and imprints either infect or they inform. And when they infect and when it's safety, for whatever reason, you weren't okay in the environment that you were in. So you had to turn to something outside of you in order to be okay. It could have been food. It could have been overspending. It could have been bitching, moaning, whining, and complaining, and hanging out with a group of people where you're all alike, that you all have the same complaints. What you really want is what's known as security, where you can begin to depend upon yourself. But for that to happen, the age you were when the imprint first took place needs to start maturing. But instead, you're like, no, I'm gonna get rid of the overeating. I'm gonna get rid of the bitching, moaning, whining, and complaining. Well, the aspect of your personality, the age you were when that imprint took place, isn't gonna leave. It's still going to be there. How's it going to cope in life? You're asking it to show up as an adult when we're told 80% of the imprints that we deal with happen before age 8. That's a challenge. So that aspect is still going to be there going, how am I supposed to survive in this world? And this is the reason why a majority of New Year's goals, resolutions, will be let go of by the end of January. And for 93% of people, by February, I think it's 16th, they'll be gone. And then that younger you will feel like another failure, because first you took away its ability to cope, and then it couldn't hold true to what you were asking it to do. The second level that builds on the first of certainty is going to be freedom. Freedom to fully express a variety of emotions. But along with the uncertainty that you experienced, there was probably a lot of confusion and chaos, moving into crisis, a lot of drama. There's actually a word for this that you don't hear very often outside of religious circles, and that's going to be strife. We're told to ignore strife as much as possible, to ignore or to stay away from the people that create strife, because when strife comes in, it opens the door to every evil work. Why is that? And I'm not talking about evil on your part. Because when you create confusion in people, they're looking for an answer. And they will turn to authority figures to give them that answer. And now we have created an opportunity for manipulation. Yeah. And that's just with the confusion. Think about it. Whenever challenging things happen, you turn and you're looking to someone, tell me what to do. Yeah. So that's what starts with confusion. And then chaos. The emotions begin to flood. And if we were to look at scans of your brain, it would almost look like waves washing through, and the waves are over you and you're underneath all of it. And so that's just with the first two. And now the system is going into crisis mode and a lot of drama. The system will seek to soothe itself, and that's when you will drop down to the level below, which is safety, and says, I just need to be dependent upon someone or something else just for a little bit of relief. Oh, but we got 2 more levels to go. Then you have the level of worthiness. Now, the person or people that were creating the strife, and I'm going to give some people slack a little bit, that when they do these things, when they create confusion in others, they may not be doing it because they realize this is how they manipulate. Although, yeah, you do need to keep an eye out for that, because at some point they do recognize that they're holding power. Okay. So not everyone recognizes that they're manipulating others by creating the intensity in these types of emotions. They're just repeating the pattern that they were taught. And this is where we look at legacies and families and how they continue. And just to let you know, what you really want at that level of, the confusion, the crisis, you want freedom. You want freedom of choice. But that choice has been taken away from you. And then you move up to the next level, which is worthiness. And this is usually when it's dangled in front of you that maybe excuse me for just a moment, somebody needs a little bit of attention. Let's see if I can keep going here. Oh, by the way, if you haven't met him, this is my baby Thor. 10 months old. He's a cross between a Great Dane and a Saint Bernard. And just really enjoys playing with his stuffed dragon. Okay. Oh, here we go. So you move up to the level of worthiness, but then this is where you're taught. This is when the true manipulation begins, where you're taught that for you to be okay, you're going to have to save others and you're going to need to martyr yourself. So whatever it is that you needed to be okay, not going to take place unless you give. What you really want is significance. Significance is when you look at the best parts of you and you bring it together with the best parts of someone else. And between the two of you, you can create something phenomenal that you couldn't do on your own. But that's not where you're at. Now, I will tell you, to be able to break this cycle, you do need to work with someone else, whether it's me or you choose another professional. Why is that? Because someone else was involved in the hurt and the harm that took place that has locked you in to this never-ending need. You need somebody there to use the law of polarity to say this is what's on the other side. You cannot grow outside of a relationship. It's a proven fact. So you need to get into a relationship with somebody who can show you, first, how to stabilize yourself, second, how to regulate, third, how to be functional, and then fourth, absolute intelligence, and you will amaze yourself at what you can achieve. Okay, so that's worthiness. There's one more level, and that's going to be, in a never-ending need, what's known as invalidation. Because with the first three levels, you continued to try to break the cycle. You've set the goals, and you've gone after the hopes and the dreams, and you've hung out with the healthy people. But because you were conditioned to connect instead of love, because that the level of validation or invalidation is where you have been taught connection to putting out shit shows of dumpster fires. What you really wanted was love. That's all you wanted. And so you set a goal, you strip away all the ways that you have coped. And that younger you, I don't care if she was 8, 18, 28, 38. My gosh, there was a part of me at 58 that I had to deal with, and some of the things that she had learned with some friendships. You're stripping away the ability to cope and going, yeah, let's just put in some healthy actions without looking at the need that was there to start with. You want your goals? Then make sure those goals are aligned with not never-ending needs and what you need to get rid of, but instead the superior strength that needs to be developed. And that comes about by having a process and a system, by having a strategy with tactics, the steps that you need to take to get you to where you want to go. But if you do not have internal, intrinsic agreement from your subconscious, which is the reason why I love hypnosis so much, on each one of these levels, you're going to run out of willpower before you get there. Because if there's ever a disagreement between the conscious and the subconscious, between willpower and your ability to enact healthy patterns, well, the subconscious, with its habits, with its patterns, with its imprints, it wins every single time. Not part of the time, every single time. All right. Now, that's the core four. You know what we're going to put on top of it? We're going to put learned helplessness. Thor has to take medication because he has what's known as idiopathic epilepsy, seizures, and they don't know what causes it. And sometimes that medication upsets his stomach, and I need to put a little bit of something on his food to get him to eat it. Yeah. Well, learned helplessness was put on top of your never-ending need to get you to completely engage with it. Because again, you were taught to seek out someone else, not who is going to empower you, but who is going to entangle you. they were going to use you as their supply for them to be able to get their goals, typically of their never-ending need, met in a dysfunctional way, and the family legacy continues. Okay, so there's 4 P's in learned helplessness. It is personal. It's all about you. See, you're not trying hard enough. Come on, you can do this. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Now, we're also told in scripture, my people perish for lack of knowledge. You need to understand why the unhealthy habit was there to start with and how to upgrade it, not get rid of it. Okay. So it's personal. You'll just never be good enough, but try a little bit harder. What a great way to control people. And we see so much of this going on nowadays in society. Okay, so it's personal. It's pervasive. It's not just in this one area. It spreads out to all areas because it's personal. It's about you. It's permanent. It is always going to be this way. And then what's known as power over, power under. In your mind, you experience the symbolism as you small and tiny and not having what you need to be able to move forward. And whatever the problem is, it's looming large. And it's like the boogeyman hanging over you because the subconscious mind does not accept language and suggestions. It accepts symbolism, which is the reason why stories are so great, because they're packed with symbolism that we can all relate to. And you have a story right now that you're telling yourself that's keeping you stuck and struggling, instead of saying, you know what, I either need to add on another chapter or I need to have a continuation in the series. I have another book. All right. So again, working with the subconscious to say it's not personal, that there was a part of you that learned to cope this way, and there's nothing wrong with them. And we want to give them a different focus. It's known as parts therapy for inner conflict resolution. It's one of the things that I specialize in. And we want to give them an upgraded focus. If you think about kids, the energy that they have in life, the curiosity, the unbridled joy, if they didn't have to carry this dysfunction anymore, if they could put it down and let your goddess or your Adonis, your wise woman or your wise man pick up that load, because with every blessing comes a burden, not a dysfunction. You can get it, but now you need to be strong enough to keep it. And that's the reason why we look at superior strength of security. If it is to be, it is up to me. Of freedom, I can make choices how to move forward. And you know what? Sometimes I might want to self-sabotage, and that's okay, because the very next day, grace comes and I can start anew. There is significance. I'm going to partner with someone else, and we're going to be able to create something together that I couldn't on my own. And love. I'm going to start experiencing healthy love for myself as well as others. But with love comes boundaries and comes rules. Boundaries bless, rules restrict. And so I need to see what I can start putting in for boundaries and rules. So I make sure that I stay at a high level of engagement, not a low level of entanglement. All right, so in getting your goals, know that getting the goal isn't the problem. It is the never-ending need pattern that you've been programmed to experience. And until you begin to upgrade that, you will continue to experience limited results, because that pattern has an imprint that says this is how life's going to be. And then your reticular activating system will seek out the people, places, and things to reinforce it. And quitting on your goals by the end of December or mid-February simply reinforces that pattern that says, see, I knew we weren't good enough. But you are. Let's break the back of lack in your life so we can reveal who you really are. I'd be honored if I could be the one to assist you with that.